Ritsuka let out a small sigh as he looked at the summoning altar in front of him. Well, it's that time of the month then. The day where I gathered all my hard-earned saint quartz, place them on the altar, and see what I get. He then placed the saint quartz onto the summoning altar, which activated on its own immediately. The altar lit up, creating a pillar of light that made the saint quartz disappear and summoned multiple blue orbs. The orbs then started to connect with each other and turned into a ring of blue sparks swirling around. Then the ring split into 3 and continued to swirl around. Soon, the light faded, and it revealed a gold card showing a man wearing a head of a wolf while holding a giant sword. The card then disappeared as a woman appeared, who looked demure and is wearing a black, 2-piece business suit with a red-violet necktie along with 2 earrings and gloves. She has short, magenta hair and a mole just below her left eye. Servant, Berserker. Bizet Frogak Mikrimitz, an enforcer of the Mages Association. I suppose you are my master, correct? Bizet asked as she looked at Ritsuka. HM? Why yeah. Welcome to Chaldea, Bizet, Ritsuka replied. Chaldea? Is that the name of an organization? Bizet asked as she got off the summoning altar. Yes. Chaldea is an organization designed to protect humanity. It is created by Marisbury Animusphere and is now currently headed by his daughter, Olga Marie Animusphere. I see. She said while having thoughts about the information she just received. The Animusphere family, they actually managed to create an organization like this? I'm impressed. And Olga Marie Animusphere looks like she managed to be recognized. Although I hope this organization does not end up becoming to be revealed as sham, unlike the last person who declared that he was protecting humanity. At that moment, the summoning altar lit up again, repeating the process it did before. Soon, a golden card with the image of a bowman appeared in front of him. The card then disappeared as a woman appeared. The woman herself has long gold hair tied in long twin tails, blue eyes, and a buxom body. She was wearing a white dress shirt with frills, a long black skirt with white boots, a small brown leather belt at her waist with a card holster on her side and a pair of knife sheaths on the small of her back. Servant, Archer. Angelica Ainsworth, holder of the Gilgamesh Archer class card. Tell me, are you my master? Angelica asked. Why yeah. Ritsuka replied. Class card? Does that mean that she's from the same universe as Ilya, Kuro, and Miyu? And what does the Gilgamesh Archer class card mean? As Angelica got down from the altar, it was then she noticed Bizet. HM? Aren't you the enforcer that came with Ilya-sama and the others? Bizet, was it? Eh? Ilya-sama? So, she is from the same universe as them. Well, that's one of my questions explained already. Ritsuka thought. Yes. It's been a while since I've seen you, Angelica. I see you arrived here in Chaldea as well, Bizet greeted. Chaldea? What is that? I have never heard of it, Angelica asked. It's an organization dedicated to protect humanity. Angelica's blood went cold for a moment upon hearing Bizet's words. An organization to protect humanity? Yeah. And I know what you are thinking, the person behind this organization is not your father. Rather, it's another person completely unrelated. I see. Angelica said as she let out a sigh. Excuse me for a moment, but what were you two talking about earlier? Ritsuka asked as he was confused with what he just heard. It's nothing, master. Just an old story between us, Bizet replied. Yeah. It has nothing to do with you, Angelica said. I see. Ritsuka said, but was still confused. However, as the three were talking, the summoning altar lit up again for a third time, catching their attention. As before, the summoning altar repeated the process again, and in the end, a gold Berserker class card appeared in front of him. The card then disappeared as a girl appeared with unkempt scarlet hair tied at both ends, yellow eyes, a fawn-like mouth, and was wearing a goth Lolita outfit while carrying an umbrella. Servant, Berserker. Beatrice Flowerchild. Holder of the Berserker class card Mangy. I can't believe I'm saying this, but are you my master? She asked, before noticing Bizette and Angelica. HM? Ah. You two are here as well? Beatrice. The two said in unison. Eh? You two already know her? Ritsuka asked. Yes. Me and her, well, acquainted you might say, Angelica replied as Beatrice got down from the altar. Hey! Quit ignoring me. I'm asking you a question here, she yelled angrily, breaking up the conversation. Ritsuka quickly turned around and focused his attention on her. Oh, yes. I am your master. Welcome to Chaldea, Beatrice. Beatrice let out a smile. Now that's more like it. Now then, tell me, where am I? What is this place? This is Chaldea, an organization dedicated to protect humanity, Ritsuka replied. Beatrice's eyes nearly popped out upon hearing Ritsuka's words. Huh? An organization dedicated to protecting humanity? Are you serious? Why yes. Beatrice let out a sigh. You got to be kidding me, just what did I get myself into this time? I hope it's not like what I had to deal with in the past. Anyway, where am I? Along with the others? Well, we're all in Antarctica. At that moment, all three servants looked at Ritsuka with shock in their eyes. Antarctica, they yelled in unison. Lancer CU was walking down the hallway from the training room after being in there for a while. Phew. I've worked up quite a sweat. I might as well get something to eat. I'm starving. As he continued to walk down the hallway, he felt a presence only he knew. And it shocked him, because he did not expect to feel it again after all this time. This presence, it can't be. In an instant, CU sprinted and started to run like an Olympic runner, heading towards the source of the presence. Eventually, he reached the source, and his eyes widened while his mouth dropped at what he was seeing in front of him. Bizette, who was originally supposed to be his master, before Kirai killed her and took away her command seals. And right now, she was with Ritsuka, Angelica, and Beatrice on a tour of Chaldea. Master? CU asked. HM? What is it, CU? Ritsuka asked. Master, that woman over there, is that Bizette? CU said as he pointed at her. Ritsuka and the others were surprised at him. Eh? You know her, CU? Yeah. Eh? That's CU Chulin? Bizette asked. Yeah. You don't recognize me? I'm your servant. Well, supposed to be before that priest killed you afterwards and took you command seals. Bizette was extremely confused with CU's words. Huh? Killed by a priest? I don't remember that happening, nor I remember having any command seals. At that moment, it was CU's turn to be confused. What? You don't remember that priest killing you? Or your command seals being taken? Or you came to Fuyuki to fight in the Fuyuki Grail War? No. In fact, none of that happened to me. I did come to Fuyuki, but it was to collect class cards. For a moment, CU was slightly depressed upon hearing Bizette's words, before getting over it shortly. I see. So, you're not her, huh? Well, anyways, as long as you're here alive, then all is good, he thought to himself before raising his hand to him. Well, looks like we seemed to have a misunderstanding earlier. Anyways, my name is CU Chulin. Nice to meet you. Why yeah. Nice to meet you too, CU, Bizette said with a blush on her face. And then the two shook hands. Meanwhile, Ritsuka, Angelica, and Beatrice were confused about what had just happened. Okay, so far, this day has been going well. I wonder what's going to happen today. Ungermanu thought as he was walking down the hallway. As he was walking down the hallway, it was then he saw a certain someone he did not expect to see, which was Bizet, who was with Ritsuka and the others. What the heck? That woman is here? Geez, that's new, not that it matters to me though. Ungermanu continued to walk towards the tour group. Eventually, he got close enough to the tour group and bumped into Bizet on purpose, nudging her. Sorry, Bizet said. Like I care, Unger replied. The two then split, each with something on their minds. So, she does not recognize me, whatever. That person, I don't know him, but for some reason, he seems unnatural, even by my standards, Bizet thought. Alright. I wonder what today shall bring me. Kid Gilgamesh thought as he was walking in Chaldea's hallways. As he was walking, he felt a familiar, yet irritating presence nearby, and it was one he could not forget. Meanwhile, Angelica would have the same sensation as well along with Beatrice and Bizet. This presence, it can't be. He's here, they thought in unison. And exactly at that moment, all four of them bumped into each other at the same time. As they did, their mouths dropped upon seeing each other. You, they said in unison. HM? All of you know each other? Ritsuka asked between the group and the kid. Yeah. You can say that, Master. Although I've never expected to see all of you here right now. Kid Gilgamesh said. Me too. Bizet said. It's been a long time since I've last saw you, Gilgamesh, Angelica replied. Yeah. And you still look the same as ever, you shorty. Beatrice said haughtily. Kid Gilgamesh let out a sigh. And it seems all of you have not changed, not that it matters to me. Anyways, it seems that all of you arrived here. And for some reason, it seems like both of you still possess the class cards. He said with slight annoyance, especially towards Angelica. It seems so. Angelica said. I hate to interrupt you three, but what kind of history do you have with each other? Ritsuka asked. Well, both me and Gilgamesh were at odds against Beatrice and Angelica, so you could say we had quite a history together, Bizet said. Yeah. I still remember you stealing half of my powers with that class card of yours, and how much it angered me at the time, Kid Gilgamesh said. And how this woman punched me so hard, damn, just how hard can you hit? Beatrice said to Bizet. I see. Anyways, I hope all of you get along with each other in Chaldea, please? Ritsuka asked. Relax, Master. I'm already over with Angelica taking half of my powers since I've already got them back. Anyways, I'll be going now. See you. Kid Gilgamesh began to leave before saying some last words. Oh yeah. By the way, Angelica, I should probably warn you this. What? My older counterparts are here, and they might not like you. Especially my archer counterpart. Karen was walking down the hallway, minding her own business. I wonder what I will do today. She thought. As she was walking, it was then she bumped into Ritsuka and the others at a corner. As they did, Karen fell to the ground. Sorry, Karen. Need a hand? Ritsuka asked. It's okay, Master. I can get up myself, Karen replied as she got up, dusting herself. As she did, she noticed Bizet, who was looking at her. Is there a problem? She asked. Karen? You know me? It's me, Bizet. Bizet, sorry, but I don't know you. Eh? Really? You don't remember me? Wait, do you know who Emiya is? Emiya, sorry, that name does not ring a bell either. Bazette let out a sigh. So, this Karen is from another world, man, this is just crazy. Is everything alright? Ritsuka asked. Yeah. We need to finish the tour here, Beatrice said with Angelica nodding in agreement. HM? Ah, yeah. It seems like I have the wrong person. Sorry, Bazette said. No problem. Mistakes can happen. Anyways, I'll be leaving now. See you, Karen replied. Yeah. See you. Emiya let out a huge sigh of exhaustion. Geez, that was exhausting. She said as she was walking down the hallway with Kuro, Saitonai, and Miyu. You can say that again. Although that was nothing compared to when we had to gather the class cards. Miyu replied. Class cards, huh? It's been a while since I've heard that term. Kuro said. Class cards, aren't they those cards that gives you the powers of heroic spirits? Saitonai asked. Yes, and they were quite a pain in the butt to get them. Anyways, Emiya said, but ended the conversation suddenly. What? Why did you stop talking, Emiya? Kuro asked. It was then she felt a few pats on the shoulder coming from Miyu. Miyu, what's going on? Look up ahead, Miyu replied as she pointed at what was in front of the group of girls. Kuro followed Miyu's orders and looked at what was in front of them. As she did, her jaw dropped upon seeing who was in front of them in the distance. Bazette, Beatrice, and Angelica, who were being guided by Ritsuka. You have got to be kidding me. Kuro said in disbelief. Yeah. They're here, Emiya said. They? Who's they? I feel like I'm out of the loop here, Saitonai said. Well, remember what we talked about a long time ago? You know, before Oniai-chan came into Chaldea? Kuro asked. Yeah, wait, you mean Saitonai said as she immediately realized what they were talking about. Yes. Those three people are the same ones we talked about a long time ago, Kuro finished. Saitonai looked at the group of people in front of her. So, those people are the people you encountered while getting the class cards, should we meet them, she asked. Yeah. It would not hurt to see them. Well? Emiya asked. I'm okay with it, Kuro replied. Me too, Miyu replied. Well then, let's go. And the group of girls headed towards where Bazette, Angelica, and Beatrice were. Meanwhile, as Ritsuka continued to give them the tour, it was then the group of girls heard Emiya's voice calling out to them. Bazette. Angelica. Beatrice. Emiya yelled in the distance. All three girls stopped upon hearing Emiya's voice, alerting Ritsuka. Is there something wrong? Bazette let out a smile. It seems we may be seeing some old friends here, she said as she turned around. Angelica and Beatrice did the same, expecting to see a trio of girls coming towards them. However, to their shock, they saw two Emiyas, Kuro and Miyu. What the heck? There's two Emiyas? How is that possible? They thought in unison. Bazette. Angelica. Beatrice. It's been a while since we've last seen all of you. Emiya said with a smile on her face. Emiya. It's been a while since I last saw you along with your friends, Bazette greeted with a smile on her face. Yeah. It's been a long time, Emiya-sama, Kuro-sama, Miyu-sama, and Angelica greeted. TCH. I never thought to see you here, Beatrice said with a sigh. I hate to barge in again, but I suppose all of you know each other? Ritsuka asked. Yeah. It's quite a long story, but to put in short, we were enemies once, then we became friends, Emiya said. Huh? Who said I'm your friend? Beatrice yelled. Angelica let out a sigh. Anyways, who is that person right next to Ilias Vilsama? And why does she look a lot like her? Ah, sorry for not introducing myself earlier. My name is Saitonai, a pseudo-servant in the body of Iliasville von Einsburn. It's a pleasure to meet you. I see. It's nice to meet you too, Saitonai, Angelica greeted. Likewise, Angelica said. Well, even though you're supposed to be a different person, you look a lot like her. I don't know to feel comfortable or not about that, Beatrice said. Me neither. If it wasn't for the outfits, I would have thought you were Iliasville, Saitonai, Bizet said. Saitonai let out a sigh. You can say that again. When I first arrived here, I got confused with her for the first few days. You can say that again, Ilias said, before she turned to Ritsuka. Master, is it possible for me, Kuro, Saitonai, and Miyu to give them a tour of Chaldea? Ritsuka gave some thought about it and replied. Sure. I'm almost done anyways, and the last place they need to visit is the cafeteria, which is right up ahead. Ilya let out a smile. Great. Thanks. Soon, Ritsuka left, leaving the girls along with each other. Now then, let's go to the cafeteria. Follow me, she said cheerfully. Bizet let out a small sigh. That personality of hers still hasn't changed. You can say that. Soon, the group of girls headed towards the cafeteria. As they were heading towards there, Angelica asked Ilya a certain question that got everyone interested. Ilias Vilsama, can I ask one question? Sure. What is it? Ilya replied. Considering that we saw you along with the others, I assumed that the others are here as well? Well, you could say that. We do have Rin-san and Livia-san, although they considered themselves to be goddesses, and calls themselves Ishtar and Astrea, and they're not from our world. I see. Then that means he is here as well, correct? Ilya was silent for a moment before answering Angelica's question. Yes. Oniai-chan is here as well. At that moment, both Bizet and Beatrice looked at her. Really? Emiya Shirou is here as well? Bizet asked. Huh? That nobody who somehow managed to get involved in the Ainsworth Holy Grail War and managed to win it is here as well? Beatrice said. Miyu was irritated by Beatrice's description. Don't call Oniai-chan that, she yelled, making the others slightly jump from Miyu's outburst. Miyu then took a few seconds to calm herself down. Plus, he's quite different from the one we know. Bizet, Angelica, and Beatrice were curious about Miyu's words. What do you mean by that? Angelica asked. Well, for starters, he's from a different world where a Holy Grail War, called the Fuyuki Grail War existed, and instead of class cards, they use heroic spirits as servants to fight in the war, Kuro said. I see. That must be the world CU was talking about earlier. Go on, Bizet said. Yes. And there's one more difference between the Oniai-chan we know and the one that is here right now, Ilya said. What? Beatrice asked. Well, it's hard to explain, I guess it's the goal and his tail, well, all of you will understand upon seeing him. Bizet, Angelica, and Beatrice were confused with Ilya's words as they were walking towards the cafeteria. Eventually, they reached the cafeteria, where in a turn of events, Shirou happened to be there as well, behind the kitchen counter. However, they did not enter the cafeteria as Bizet, Angelica, and Beatrice were staring at Shirou from a distance away. And they immediately knew that this was not the Emiya Shirou they knew. The Emiya Shirou they knew had a streak of white within his otherwise auburn hair as well as several tanned streaks of skin throughout his body, a result of him overusing his magecraft, while the one in front of them did not have those details. And the biggest difference between the two was the eyes. The eyes of the Emiya Shirou they knew were soulless, with no light in them. However, the Shirou in front of them has eyes filled with light, as if he accomplished the things he wanted to do. At that moment, Bizet, Angelica, and Beatrice were surprised at what they were seeing in front of them. "Is that really Emiya Shirou?" Angelica asked. "Yes," Saitone replied. "Wow. He seems very different from the Emiya Shirou we all knew. Not only by the looks, but his entire being feels different," Bizet said. "You can say that again. What is this feeling coming out from him? It's like there's something inside of him." Beatrice yelled. "Shoo! Don't yell, or else he'll notice you." Emiya whispered. "Don't yell at me." Beatrice whispered/argued back. "So, what are we going to do now? Should we introduce yourselves to him?" Kuro asked. "Well, I guess. Although he's going to be surprised finding out about you too," Miyu said as she looked at Angelica and Beatrice. Soon, the group of girls headed inside the cafeteria. As they did, Shirou noticed them. "Hey Emiya, who are those people over there?" he asked. "Ah, Oniai-chan, these are my friends that I haven't mentioned to you yet." "Introduce yourselves to them," Emiya replied. "My name is Bizet Fraga Mikrimitz. TCH. My name is Beatrice Flowerchild. And my name is Angelica Ainsworth." "I see. My name is Emiya Shirou. I take it that all of you are from Ilia's world?" "Well, it's a yes and a no, Oniai-chan. Bizet is from Ilia's world, but Beatrice and Angelica are from Miyu's world," Kuro said. "I see," Shirou said. However, it was then he noticed that both Angelica and Beatrice were staring at him, making him confused. "What? Are you really Emiya Shirou?" Angelica asked. "Yeah. Why?" "Because you look very different from the one we're used to seeing. Your face, your hair, your skin, everything about it is way different from what we used to see. Not only that, but you feel very different." Beatrice ranted/interrupted. The cafeteria was silent for a moment before Shirou continued the conversation. "So, I take it that you knew my counterpart from that world?" "How did you Bizet asked. "Miyu told me about it from a while ago." "About my counterpart, that is." Angelica let out a small sigh. "Well, that makes things a lot easier to explain then. Yes, we knew and fought your counterpart from our world, and upon seeing you, there's a lot of major differences between you and him." "Really? How so?" "Well, you don't have a streak of white on your hair, your skin doesn't any tan streaks of skin, and your eyes don't look soulless." At that moment, Shirou recognized the details Angelica was talking about and let out a small sigh. "So that's the life my counterpart from Miyu's world went through," he thought before continuing the conversation. "I see. Yeah." For a moment, there was silence that can be considered awkward before Beatrice started up the conversation. "Anyways, what's so different about you? Besides your facial features, there's something completely different about you on the inside." "That I want to find out as well," Angelica replied. "So do I," Bizet said. "Well, let's just say, I fused with the spirit of a blacksmith who is my ancestor, along with gaining his noble phantasm," Shirou replied. All three girls were surprised at Shirou's words. "Really? You fused with the spirit of a blacksmith? And earned a noble phantasm in the process," they yelled in unison. As Shirou was smiling, Angelica was having some thoughts in her mind. So, this Emiya Shirou was able to keep his promise, without his despair breaking him. And those eyes of his, they seemed to be filled of life, unlike the emptiness of the other Emiya Shirou. If that's the case, then there's one more thing to do. Angelica then got up from her seat and pointed at Shirou, confusing him. "What?" Shirou asked. "Emiya Shirou, I challenge you to a duel," Angelica stated. For a moment, everyone in the cafeteria was silent before letting out a collective yell. "What?" they yelled in unison. "You heard me. I challenge you to a duel," Angelica repeated. "But why though?" "To test to see if you are truly different from the Emiya Shirou from my world." "But are you sure though?" Shirou asked as he was worried about Angelica's safety. In a strange turn of events, Angelica let out a smirk, much to Ilia's, Kuros, Saitonai's, Miyu's, Bizet's, and Barris' surprise. "Oh, don't worry, I'm sure, and I think I'm ready." Iliya, Kuro, Saitonai, Miyu, Bizet, and Beatrice looked at each other, completely stunned with what they just saw. Did Angelica just let out a smirk and declared a fight against Oniai-chan? Iliya asked. "Yeah. And she's not using the Archer class card," Kuro said. "Indeed. And that smirk of hers, she's actually kind of scaring me with it," Miyu said. "Something tells me this will not go peacefully," Saitonai said. "Okay, I did not expect this from her, and she's a doll," Beatrice said. It was then she pulled out her Archer card out of nowhere. "Do you know what this is?" "That looks like a card with Archer on it," Shirou replied. "Exactly. You don't know anything about this, so I'll tell you what this is. This here is a class card, a magical device able to allow the user to tap into a heroic spirit's powers." Shirou was surprised at Angelica's explanation. "Is that so?" "Yes. And guess what? The card you're seeing here right now taps into the King of Heroes' powers." At that moment, Shirou was shocked upon hearing Angelica's words. "Really? That card can let you use the King of Heroes' powers? Including his noble phantasm?" "Yes." Shirou was silent for a moment. Geez, Gilgamesh is not going to be happy when he finds out that his noble phantasm can be used by another with a card. He's going to go mad. "Well, do you accept my challenge, Emiya Shirou? Or rather, Faker?" Angelica asked. Shirou slightly twitched. "Great, you used that word too? Okay, is she trying to provoke him? This is out of character for her." Iliya, Kuro, Saitonai, Miyu, Bizet, and Beatrice thought. "Yes. After all, considering that your dream is the same as my world's Emiya Shirou, it might as well be considered a false goal because you borrowed it from your deceased guardian along with those ideals of his. While I'll admit you managed to accomplish your goal without falling into despair unlike your counterpart, it doesn't change the fact that you had nothing to begin with. If anything, if you have fallen into the same despair your counterpart did, you would have killed yourself." At that moment, everyone in the cafeteria was silent upon hearing Angelica's words and had a few thoughts to themselves. How dare she talk to Oniai-chan like that? Okay, something is definitely wrong with that doll. Since when was she able to talk like that? Looks like a fight is about to begin here. Shirou let out a sigh before talking back to Angelica. "You may be right. My ideals may be borrowed and hypocritical, but it doesn't change the fact that I've accomplished them without any regrets. However, after hearing what you said, I can't stay quiet. If it's a fight that you want, it's a fight you'll get." Angelica let out a smile. "Meet me in the testing room of Chaldea within 3 days. You know where it is, right?" "Yes." "Very well, we'll have our match in that room 3 days from now," she said as she began to turn away. "I hope you don't disappoint me." She then left the cafeteria. "Hey! Wait up!" Beatrice yelled as she began to follow Angelica, leaving the cafeteria as well. Bizet let out a small sigh. "Excuse me, Iliya, I need to talk to Angelica." "See you." "Yeah. See you." Bizet soon left, leaving Iliya and the others. They were completely stunned by what had just happened before they came back to their senses. Well, at least things didn't end violently, Saitonai said. Oniai-chan, are you okay? Emiya asked. Yeah. I'm fine, Shirou replied. Are you sure? Angelica just issued a challenge against you. You may have beaten the King of Heroes before, but she is completely different from him. Kuro said. Yeah. She's quite a difficult opponent to defeat, Miyu said. Well, what's done has been done, and there's no going back. Plus, she was serious in her declaration, so I should accept it at least. Not to mention the fact that she insulted the ideals I lived on, Shirou replied. Emiya and the others let out a collective sigh. Oniai-chan. Meanwhile with Angelica, Bizette, and Beatrice. Wow. I can't believe you picked a fight against him. You still have a grudge against him? Beatrice asked. No. I just want to see the differences between the Emiya Shirou from our world and the one here, Angelica replied. While their ideals are the same, their endings are different between the two. I want to know how much though. But why a fight of all things? Bizette asked. Because this is Emiya Shirou we're talking about here. I would know since I already fought him twice. And if his ideals are the same, I want to see what goes on inside of him. However, as the three were walking and chatting, they did not know one thing about Chaldea. Words have a way to get around to other servants, and in a fast way. And especially when it comes to Shirou. A few days later. The day of the match Angelica has requested has arrived. However, it had a huge side effect that Shirou kind of expected while Angelica did not. Which came in the form of Arturia and her counterparts, Ishtar and her counterparts, Parvati, Bibi and her sisters, Emiya and her counterparts, Miyu, Astria, Jaguarman, Irisville, Kiritsugu, Emiya and her counterpart, Ritsuka, Mashu, Fo, Da Vinci, Nero and her counterparts, Jeanne d'Arc and her counterparts, Okita and her counterpart, Musashi, the Knights of the Round, Merlin, Lancer Cu, Rider Medusa, Castor Medea, Berserker Heracles, Sasaki, Kojiro, and Gilgamesh and his counterparts, and Archer Gilgamesh was seething with anger at both of them. Not only that, but there were new additions to the crowd such as Arthur, Proto Merlin, Romani, Olga Marie, Cu's counterparts, Medusa's counterparts, Scathach and her counterpart, Amakusa Shiro Tokusada, Semiramis, Shakespeare, Astolfo, Hakuno, C. Waver, Bray, Rhaenus, Alexander, Diarmuid, Bradamanti, Enkidu, Boudica, Karen, Bizette, Beatrice, Godako, Jack, Abigail, Paul, Nursery, Morgan, the Fairy Knights of the Round, Oba Nobunaga, Hijikata Toshizu, Sakata Kinetoki, Tamamo no Mei and her counterpart, Ryugi Shiki, Minamoto no Reiku, Tomo Guzan and her sister, Suzuka, Osakabeheim, Okada Aizo, Benienma, Ashiwakamaru, Osakabeheim, Mochizuki, Ryoma, Oryu, Kyoheim, Murasaki, Hoskasai, Shanagon, Koyo, Ibaraki, Shuten, and Kajitora. And they were all sitting on stadium stands. In other words, the crowd was twice as much as before. Shirou let out a sigh. It's like what happened before all over again, but as twice as much. What the hell is this? Just how did we get a crowd here? Angelica thought.